Well, there are a lot of different challenges with a work written over 300 years ago. First of all, it was probably for totally different instruments than we have today. So certainly if it's a work written 300 years ago and I'm working with modern instruments, I have to take into account perhaps some technical considerations on the modern instruments, whether or not, for instance, string playing, the amount of vibrato you would use, the bowing strokes, the winds, just various colors. How do we adapt? Do we take that piece of music and make it totally a transcription for modern orchestra? Or do we try to take some of the sensibilities and aesthetics from 300 years ago and fold them into playing this music on modern instruments? So there's that. Music written 300 years ago probably wasn't necessarily written with the thought in mind that this is going to become classical music and be performed 300 years from now. It was music written for an occasion on the spot. And it was written for players who, of course, knew what to do. So they didn't bother with dynamics. They didn't bother with indications about bowings or articulations or even tempo markings. There are so many things that we're trying to discover after the fact, 300 years later. Now, a new composition, chances are a lot of that work will be taken care of because composers nowadays are much more specific about what they want. I like to joke that through time composers have become less and less trusting. But yeah, I think that it isn't that, but there's just more and more of a tradition of notating exactly what you want. Even if you look at the difference between a Mozart symphony, a Beethoven symphony, and then a Mahler symphony, it's night and day in terms of more and more information. So while our job is done having more information on a modern piece, the challenge is there is if it's a premiere, it's all got to be created from the score. Though you can't sit down and listen to a recording of it to see how it goes. A lot of 20th century techniques are very difficult. You have a lot of perhaps rhythmic challenges or textural challenges. So there are totally different issues